The Nintendo Wii was released on the 19th of November 2006 in America. It was expected with a lot of hype and a huge amount of people getting their own the very day it released, along with a copy of Wii Sports or The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. The Nintendo Wii is the 4th best-selling home console, with people purchasing it and its games to this very day. Sadly, Nintendo doesn't support it anymore, so in this video we will be doing a nostalgia trip covering the history of the Nintendo Wii's menu and channels from the beginning until this very day. What you saw at the beginning of this video was the first time setup of a Wii. If you bought a Wii the very day it released and booted it up, this is what you would have gone through. But there is something particular about it. It is running Wii Menu 1.0, which is the earliest version of the Wii menu. As you can see, there are many different things, such as the big curve on the bottom and the clock are missing. But the biggest difference are the Focus channel and the News channel missing, and in some pre-release Wiis, even the Wii Shop channel is missing. The reason for this is that Nintendo didn't finish the channels by the time the Wii was out. Plus, when the Wii Shop channel released, it had a different preview screen, which personally I like more. The Wii later released in Japan on the 2nd of December, and in Australia and Europe on the 8th. And exactly a month after the original release date, on the 19th of December, they released Update 2.0. It added a slight curve at the bottom and allowed using an SD card. Also, you could now arrange and move all the channels on the Wii menu to your liking. And most importantly, they gave support to the Focus channel. It was now possible for people to check the weather from all around the globe on their Wii along with some chill music. Wii updates would be sent to users through the internet or through games, so that people who haven't got their Wii connected to the internet can still update it through updates that are included in game discs. On the 26th of January 2007, over 2 months after the re-release, service for the News channel began with Update 2.1. On the 13th of February, the Everybody Votes channel was released through the Wii Shop. It is a channel that allowed people to vote in several questions, not Nintendo related, but just for fun. Nintendo wasn't very sure about how the channel would work out, so they wanted to test it a bit. They released it with any major warning and expected few people to vote, but they were actually shocked to find out that over 500,000 people voted on the first questions. And in April, the Internet channel was released, which is a now semi-functional internet browser for the Wii. Skipping ahead to August, they released 3.0, which added a clock to the Wii menu. It also made some old mod chips unusable, and now every time you receive a message, the Wii message board icon flashes. Plus, the Focus channel and News channel now show information in the Wii menu, so that you can see a summary of them pretty quickly. In October, 3.1 came out, which provided support to USB keyboards and updated the photo channel to 1.1. You could now send gifts through the Wii Shop channel to friends, and they updated the preview to the one that we use today. 2 new channels were released, first in Japan and a lot of time later in Europe and eventually America. The Check Me Out channel, or Me Contest channel in Europe and Japan, and the Nintendo channel. I've asked several online and real life friends, and the Check Me Out channel seems to be the one that they remembered the most of the Wii. It allowed you to submit your Miis for other people to see. Nintendo also carried contests, here's the name, with different topics, and users would create their best Miis trying to win. Then people would vote for which ones they liked the most, and after a while the results would be shown. On the other hand, the Nintendo channel allowed you to see news, videos, info and ratings about Nintendo games. It also had shovel shows, such as the Nintendo Wii series, and some developer interviews. It even allowed you to download free demos of games to your Nintendo DS using the Download Play feature. In March of 2008, 3.2 was released, allowing WiiWare game downloads. WiiWare was a chance for small developer teams to make their own games and have Nintendo do the publishing for them. And around this time, something huge about the Wii was released. It was not Nintendo though. Yeah, the first soft mod for the Wii was made. It used an exploit on The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess to load homebrew on it without modifying the hardware at all. It was named the Twilight Hack. How it works is, you will replace your save file with the exploit. And then you would load the game and let the video do the speaking here. All you needed was the game and an SD card. As you can imagine, Nintendo wasn't happy about this, and as you will see later, they tried very hard to patch the exploit. 3.3 was released in June of 2008, updating the photo channel to 1.1a and the Wii Shop channel to show what controllers you can use with each game. Also, the Wii was released in Korea and later Taiwan, and these were the first to have the 3.3 menu much earlier than the other regions. Sadly, the Korean menu does not have Wii Connect 24 channels, and it does not support GameCube games. And this was also Nintendo's first attempt at patching the Twilight Hack, but it was remade again. 3.4 improved the disc and SD card reading, enhanced parental controls, and tried to patch Twilight Hack. Once again, not successfully. Around this time, the Today and Tomorrow channel was released in Europe, Korea, and Japan, but not America for some odd reason. It would use your birth date to tell you your fortune prediction for the day, as well as give you tips for what to eat or do for fun. Following up, 4.0 released in March of 2009, allowing the user to load channels from the SD card menu, and finally completely patched the Twilight Hack. But not long after that, Smash Stack was released, allowing the same thing with a disc of Smash Bros. And their Vanner Bomb, which didn't require a game at all. By the time 4.1 released, about 2 million Wiis had homebrew installed on them. But with 4.2, Nintendo patched the Banner Bomb and tried to completely automatically delete homebrew from Wiis, so that they wouldn't be able to add it again. But instead they ended up breaking many of them. A brick Wii is pretty much a Wii that has been made unusable. And the worst part is, many regular Wii consoles that were not hacked also died. Nintendo's technical support was clogged up with reports from users whose consoles would lock up while downloading the update, and then they wouldn't turn on. To quote the developers of the Homebrew channel, the code for the update is actually broken and pretty much raises the possibility of freaking your Wii extremely high, whether or not you have ever hacked or modified it, because it tampered with the code that is executed the very first second your Wii is turned on. But hey, at least Vannerbomb was updated to work again. In 2010, the final update to the Wii was released, 4.3, which is the one that we still use today. The updated Vannerbomb was completely patched until yet another exploit was found Letterbomb, which is the most used one today. It also deleted BootMe and the homebrew channel and prevented installing them again, but on old Wiis they were pretty easy to add back in. Sadly, on the 28th of June 2013, Nintendo discontinued Wii Connect 24, which supported most of the online Wii channels, and on the 20th of May 2014, they discontinued Nintendo Wi-Fi connection. The unofficial service WinFi brought it back to life the very day it shut down, and Reconnect24 has been working hard on bringing back most of Reconnect24 since 2017. And that is the entirety of the Wii's firmware history. Except for one thing. Some very early Wiis were shipped to stores without a Wii menu on them, and they included a startup disk that would install it. It was intended for use at kiosks, stores and magazines for people to try it out, but some Wiis were accidentally sold to the public, requiring this disk. And an even smaller amount of people actually got that Wii with the startup disk. Nintendo did a statement saying that if you had a Wii that required a startup disk, it needs to be fixed and you should send it back to them immediately. Of course, most of these Wiis were lost because people pretty much had a message asking them to insert the disk, and most of them didn't have it, so they pretty much ended up back in Nintendo's hands. However, in 2009, one Wii which required a startup disk was actually found for auction, but it didn't have a disk. But hey, at least they have the Wii. The contents of the Wii were actually dumped, and this is what it would look like. The disk itself hasn't been found to this day, and it's still a mystery, but the icon in this channel, I think, shows how it would probably look. There are many people who state to have seen the disc, but it is not possible to know who is saying the truth or not, and there are very different descriptions suggesting that there might have been several different discs. Funnily enough, all regular Wiis have code to never load a disc with the ID RAAE, and the startup discs have code to only load discs with the ID RAAE. So that is the idea of the disc, but it still remains lost, so it will just have to be a matter of time until somebody finds it. And that is the entire history of the Wii's firmware, summarized to the most important and curious parts. I hope I didn't forget to mention anything important. If you would like to see more, I recommend Beta64's video about the hidden content and development history of the Wii, or Modern Vintage Gamers' videos about Wii homebrew, and also my video about the history of Mark Wii hacking, among many others, which I will leave in the description. Thanks a ton for watching!